Alright, I am back with another Destiny 2 video. This is one I was going to do yesterday, but PlayStation decided, PlayStation decided nothing. Jason Schreier decided to release some information about PlayStation, so I did that video instead about Spartacus. So here we are today with the video I was going to do about Xur. And this week we have gotten a bit of attention thrown on Xur because of the imagery that was released about the upcoming dungeon and the upcoming 6-man activity, Dares of Eternity. And we found out that the dungeon is called Grasp of Avarice. And Avarice, if you don't know what that means, that is like greed, essentially. Maybe there's a more technical definition than that, but it's essentially that. So we also got a new description for the dungeon, which is, do I still have this up? I do. Okay, here it is. Plunder the new 3-player dungeon inspired by famed Cosmodrome loot caves of yore. Reveal a tale of riches and regret as you follow an adventurer who traded his humanity for treasure. Okay, so once that was released, one of my followers had the idea at Immorality. This is the first I've heard of this concept, but it makes a lot of sense now that I'm hearing it. And this is the idea that Grasp of Avarice is going to serve as a backstory for Xur. And he is the adventurer who got consumed by the grasp of riches. We know very, very little about Xur at this point, even though he has been a fixture in Destiny for 7 years now. We know almost about as little as the 9, the mysterious, I don't even know, force. I'm not even 100% sure. Like, it didn't really occur to me how little we truly know about Xur until I was going to record this. And I'm like, yeah, I really don't know what to say about him. I am sure Bife has some sort of Xur or 9 video out there, but pretty much he's from like the Jovian moons, and the Jovian moons are the moons of Jupiter, and that is supposed to be the kingdom ruled by the 9, whatever the 9 are. The 9 in the past have shown indications that they almost exist outside of the reality of Destiny itself. They kind of like give the impression that they know they're in a video game and they like break the fourth wall sometimes. You can interpret some of their things like that. Xur himself does not have a ton of backstory. At one point, there was some sort of conflict where the 9 did something to Shir-Ito and Orin was investigating, and then Orin like whacked Xur with a warhammer because he was like an emissary of the 9. And crippled him and like broke his spine or his throat or something, which is why he like is hunched over and talks all weird. Like that is the one kind of main Xur interactive story that we know about. And then we just know that he's an emissary of the 9, and it's kind of funny. So like there's, I was looking him up, and there's a list of like everything Xur has ever said in the game, and so it's like this massive list of just like really weird crap that Xur says over the Destiny 1 and Destiny 2. You can read this full list if you want some time, but like it's pretty funny. So it's like, I am only an agent. The 9 rule beyond the Jovians. I cannot explain what the 9 are. They are very large. I cannot explain. The fault is mine, not yours. I think the cells of this body are dying. I do not entirely control my movements. So, okay. The whole like Xur's will is not his own thing kind of plays into this idea that maybe we are going to kind of hear his tale in Grasp of Avarice here, because we know all of this. Like Xur shows up in the promotional stuff, but we also know like this stuff, anything with Xur is linked to the 9, and Dares of Eternity has like 9 symbols in it. So clearly the 9 is going to be kind of a major component of this, and we have not really seen or heard anything from the 9 in quite a while. We obviously had a 9 focused season back in Season of the Drifter with whatever it's called. What was the Reckoning? Reckoning was like the big 9 activity, and then the 9 are kind of integrated into Prophecy, the dungeon. They're kind of the main force in that, even though they didn't really, they weren't terribly informative. They did like prophesy the events of Beyond Light in that dungeon, which was cool. But besides that, they're kind of just this presence that Bungie pulls out whenever they sort of feel like it. In this case, I can see why they would be good for the 30th anniversary, because we are kind of fourth wall breaking here. With like, here's some stuff from Halo and Marathon and Myth, and like if anyone can get away with that in a storyline, it's the 9. It could be like, oh, we went to different realms and pulled out some treasures and whatever. But the idea is that the storyline of Grasp of Avarice, the dungeon, is going to follow the tale of this adventure, and that adventure might be Xur. for my own headcanon, it makes sense that like Zur could have been some sort of, being in the Jovian Moons where he was an adventurer, like really trying to seek treasure, but then ran into a bit of a monkey paw situation where, his goal was to possess, untold treasures and whatever, and he got wrapped up in some sort of scheme with the Nine where, he was promised infinite riches, and yet his access to infinite riches is now just selling the Nine's treasures every week to Guardians rather than anything cool that he gets to keep himself. And literally, we don't know anything Zur does except sell things for the Nine and speak in cryptic tongues, and now whatever he might be doing in this anniversary pack. So it's kind of like a Greek mythology fable thing, like, Sisyphus pushing the boulder up the hill where, it comes down each time, where Zur gets like this big boatload of treasure every week, and then he's like forced to sell it for strange coins, which means nothing to anyone except him. I do wonder if strange coins are coming back as a currency, because they announced that they're giving a strange coin away as part of I think it's either Moments of Triumph or the anniversary, something like that, but they're bringing back strange coins as a physical object. I actually have one of those. I don't know where it is, but I could see that being maybe like an event currency or something for this. So I might expect to see that here. So I kind of do agree with the idea that this is Zur's origin story. The horse. I don't have any good theories for the horse. Okay, so the horse is actually like not that new of a concept. Like, I know this is kind of the most we have seen of the horse since Destiny launch here, but so the symbol for going flawless on the emblem back when Trials of the Nine first launched was a horse. I actually had that emblem thanks to a sick carry from some folks back then. So the horse has been kind of a Nine themed thing starting from there. And then the horse was in a cutscene in Season of the Drifter during one of like the Drifter Orin sequences, I think. And now we have this star horse that is showing up in pretty much all the promotional art for the Dares of Eternity, and then it was in the TWAB banner. So I don't really know what to make of the horse. Like, you think like, oh, okay, Zur was an adventurer, like maybe he adventured around on a horse, and this was his like beloved horse, and now he has like a fantastical version of it. But I'm pretty sure Zur is an alien from the Jovian Moons, and I don't know why he would have an Earth-like horse, unless maybe he had come to Earth and like found a pet horse a long time ago and like was adventuring on Earth. I don't really know. As I said, I don't really have any horse theories. So your guess is as good as mine as to what the horse is about. Tom Farnsworth, the lead on the anniversary, said to me not to underestimate the horse's motivations, implying the horse itself has motives. I think he was kidding, but I can't tell for sure. But anyway, I do think this is going to be kind of an opportunity to circle back to the Nine, and not just the Nine, but to also kind of dive into Zur himself. I think Zur being a actual presence here, like really, I think for the first time, because even when we've done Nine stuff in the past, like Prophecy or Season of the Drifter, Zur was not really involved in that. It was just still just like Drifter stuff or Orin or whatever. It's not Zur. So I think we're finally getting some insight into Zur here. We know that Gallarhorn is the reward of this dungeon. I can see how, if this is a quest for treasure and stuff, like Gallarhorn is kind of the ultimate treasure in Destiny history. So I think that's probably an appropriate place to debut Gallarhorn. The structure of the dungeon itself, I'm very curious about. We've seen glimpses where it's like engrams lying around and like treasures and the horse and my guess is, so there was an earlier description was that this is like a pirate themed thing, and when you hear pirates, I think of Fallen. I do not think it would be a Hive dungeon. I'm not positive, but like we already have one Hive dungeon in the Shadowkeep one, and then we have 2 Taken dungeons. So it does seem to me like this would be an opportunity for a Fallen dungeon. Obviously, there was Fallen around the Loot Cave area, even though the enemies that emerge from the Loot Cave are Hive. Obviously, I think you could have both in a dungeon. They don't usually mix and match too much there, but it's possible they have both. We don't know like kind of what the deal is with a dungeon hard mode. I thought they said that every dungeon and raid they were doing kind of like after Vault of Glass was going to have a hard mode. So I think this might have a hard mode or heroic mode. I don't know if that would mean like champions or something or just a higher difficulty, but I guess we'll see. And I'm certainly curious to see how this plays out, but I am very much leaning towards the theory that this is going to be Xur's sort of tragic origin story and kind of explain why he is more or less enslaved to the Nine and just shows up to sell us things every week. Like, Destiny is very good at writing lore explanations for things that like don't necessarily need lore explanations. Like, I can see them doing a whole thing about like explaining why Xur shows up to sell stuff to us week to week as like a lore description. Like, the entire game of Destiny, I think people forget, is fundamentally based around the concept of resurrection in video games, like in respawning in video games. Like, the idea of a ghost resurrecting guardians, and that's why you have unlimited lives, like, is an essential part of the lore. It's not just like, oh, this is a video game, you can revive yourself because it's a video game. Like, they really went hard on explaining that. So I think they like to kind of explain their kind of various changes. They did that with content vaulting too. Like, it wasn't just that they took those zones away. They wrote a lore reason into why they took all those zones away, and they're shrouded in darkness or whatever's going on with them. And I bet they will write a way out of the Tangled Shore too, and have Spider either die or be evacuated. Like, I think they are very conscious of kind of not breaking, character. Like, you know what I mean? Like, keeping all this stuff within the lore of the world. And I think we might be getting an explanation as to why Xur sells us exotics every week, other than it helps the game economy and new players. So those are my thoughts on what's going to come here. We only have 2.5 more days until this launches. I'm very excited for it. I will be starting with the free Dares of Eternity stuff, and then my clan, my sick 4-person big clan, is going to run the dungeon that night. I guess one person's going to be left out, but it's not going to be me. And so we're going to run that Tuesday night. Going to try to do it blind, so I'm going to not really seek out any streams or anything. That'll probably be on PlayStation, so I don't know if I'll be recording it, but I will have thoughts about all of that stuff. I might do a video about the free stuff the day of, and then the dungeon maybe the next day or something. But obviously there's going to be a lot to talk about. There was no time gating here. They're dropping everything with the anniversary at the same time, so it's not like we have to wait a week for something to be unlocked. It's like everything is coming at the same time, so we'll see how that goes. So anyway, looking forward to all of that, and yeah, thanks for watching the video. Someone mentioned the idea of like, what if I uploaded my audio of these videos as like a Spotify podcast? So I don't know if you guys think that's a good idea. I don't know how to do that exactly. I don't really use Spotify very much, but if you guys think that might be a good thing. I realize my videos are kind of just me talking at the camera, and a lot of them might as well just be audio, but if I'm not doing a specific gameplay thing, so I can see how that might work. But if that interests you and there are enough people interested in it, maybe that is something I will try and work on. So let me know in the comments if you want to see that. But anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Take care.